texting and driving. I know the city has a draft ordinance, and you had mentioned that you didn't want to do anything until the state took action, and the state stalled out on this issue. And so obviously it's going to be another 2 years before they can take it up again. Do you have any plans to bring that forward before then?
Not at this time. We are really focused on the public awareness campaign. Even though I put some thought into a draft ordinance and we did do an initial draft, I've always said that the most important thing was getting the public engaged and really having the public dialogue. And since we are in the midst of a statewide effort to raise awareness on the dangers of texting and driving, and there's a national campaign going on, I think we are still in the process of educating the public on why this is so important. And I've certainly not abandoned the idea of passing an ordinance, but getting the public engaged positively is the most important thing I can think we can do right now.
Later in the week, I'll have another whole story coming out, and the issue is texting. And in our results, there's overwhelming support for a ban on texting.
There's
and
overwhelming
driving.
support for a ban on texting and driving. There's no question about that, but there is overwhelming abuse, and that in certain age groups, the majority of the drivers admit to occasionally texting while driving. And that's why this public discussion has to be very robust, and we need to ensure that, because we can pass ordinances that people will try to circumvent, and we want this to be about doing the right thing at the right time. So again, I haven't certainly not walked away from the ordinance, because there is a lot of support for it, but the public awareness campaign is so important. Just as we did with drinking and driving, just as we did with buckling up, let's do the right thing because it is the right thing, not because the government makes us do it. Although the government will step in and make us do it at some point.
But those two examples, there are laws that make people comply even if they don't do the right thing. And we know there are plenty of people who drink and drive. There are plenty of people who don't buckle up, and that's why there's a law in place to put some teeth into it.
There are fewer and fewer, though, who don't buckle up, and there are fewer and fewer who drink and drive. And the fact that texting while driving is in its own way as dangerous as drinking and driving is something that we really want to drive home. And so, we have not exactly a backlog. Let me just say, let me describe it another way. We have a lineup of really good ordinance changes and steps that the city can take to do more consumer protection, such as payday lending and wage theft ordinances, ready to go. But we also have to make sure that we give priority to the day-to-day running of the city of Houston. And so as it becomes possible to move these different items through council, we will be doing it.
Mayor,
could you talk about a poll that found 50% support for the Joint Processing Center? Your thoughts on that, and if it think it'll pass this time?
Yay. What is being asked of the voters this year is fundamentally different than what was asked a few years ago, which was about adding on to the county jail. This is a joint city-county project, and the public really appreciates the fact that the city and county are working together closely. It will provide an opportunity to close down the city jail, which will save the city money and double booking of inmates. It will allow us for the first time to have mental health beds and to be able to keep those who are being arrested and going into the county jail system who really don't need to be in the general population. You don't want to have somebody who's just there because they're off their meds next to somebody who committed a murder. Let's figure out a better way to do that. And so this is a good solution that is better for the taxpayers, better for the people who go through the system, and better for both the city and the county in the long run. And so I'm excited that the voters appear to recognize that.
Can you reiterate, you touched on it a little bit, what makes this proposal different from the one that was voted down in 2007?
What was on the ballot, as I recall, in 2007 was a new, an addition to the jail. We are being very specific that this is not more jail space. This is a new processing center, which is the intake portion of the county jail. And it is designed to provide that mental health intervention, but it is also designed to allow the city to book our ordinance violators who will never end up in the county jail in and get them adjudicated and back out again. The way it works right now, when a Houston police officer arrests somebody, they take them to the city jail, and the city violators are out within 24 hours, and in about that same amount of time, those who have felony or state convictions or charges go over to the county jail. So it's a double process. It's redundant, and the city's been trying to close our jail for decades now, but the county has not been able to handle that intake piece. And so this takes care of a number of problems in a very cost-effective manner.
And there won't be any tax increase on this.
And it has no impact on taxes because the city had money set aside, and we're going to put in our portion, and the county is really just asking permission to change some of the money authorization they already had into not building more jail cells, but building a new processing center.
All right. I just want to hear your thoughts about the recent crime reports involving youth on Southside.
It's sad. It's frightening, not so much in a city sense, because we work hard every day to make Houston a safe city, but it is really tragic because these are young lives that have been destroyed before they ever really have a chance to show their potential. I'm proud of the excellent police work that solved the Columbia Tap robberies. I am proud of the excellent police work that allowed us to solve the recent fast food shooting. But we as a community have to do a better job of putting our arms around our particularly young men and keeping them out of trouble in the first place, keeping them in school. Parents have to step up, but one of the reasons that the city of Houston is committed to after-school programs and productive youth activities is we recognize that kids who are unsupervised at home and don't have productive activities in which to engage get sucked into to gangs and into vandalism and graffiti and other unproductive activities. Okay.